Hi, this is Joe Bolen, and welcome to learning about VisualBasic.net. In this video, we're going to take a previous project, its solution and all its files. We're going to copy it to a new location and do some renaming so we can use it for maybe a second project that's very similar. So we're going to learn how to do that. And while you might think it to be somewhat simple, there is some interaction between files that we have to take into account and make certain we rename and have the objects point to the right locations for our project and solution to work correctly. So let's get into Visual Studio and learn how to take a project and bring it across under a new name. Okay, I have my Explorer open in my projects folder, and I want to show you as I go to the view area here that I have it set so I can see the file name extensions and also the hidden items on my computer. So I'm going to go to the data reader demo that I had created a long time ago, and I'm going to right click on it and hit copy, and I'm going to paste it the same project folder on that, and now I have it ready to be renamed. I'm going to hit F2 to rename it, and I'm going to just call this simply data reader example this time. Now that renames our folder, and that's not a problem. I'm going to go into the folder and we'll see that we have our solution file name and we have our two other folders, the user interface folder and the data access layer folder. And we want to set it up so we have all those in there. Now I can rename this file with no problem, and as long as I keep these two folder names the same, things should point correctly to those locations. But once I start to rename these folders, this file will be out of sync with the folder names. So let's first of all start by renaming our solution. I'll hit an F2 on our file and rename it to a data reader example. And keep the .sln extension on that for that. Now I'm going to also rename these. So I'm going to click on this, hit F2, and I'm going to rename the demo to example, and do it also for my user interface one as well. And here I'm going to do example. Okay. So now I've renamed those folders, but also notice that within the folders, we still have the original object names. Let's come back up. Remember that we have these two folders that we need to bring into our solution now. So I'm going to launch the solution. It will not be able to pull in the projects because the folder names have been changed, but we're going to set that straight in just a second. Okay, I'm opening up Visual Studio by clicking on the solution file. And there is my solution Explorer showing that I have two of them and neither of them will be able to load correctly. So what I'm going to do is remove these two real quickly from our solution. So I'm going to remove and remove the other one. Now I'm going to go back to our solution and I'm going to right click and say add, and I'm going to add existing project. And I'm going to go back into our data reader example folder right there, and I'm going to click on the UI one and click on its project folder and say open. That pulls that in. Come back up to the solution and I'm going to right click and do an add existing project and bring in the data access layer project folder. Okay, we've got them all in, and I'm going to hit a save all to make certain everything points now to where it should be pointing. Now we want to rename our objects within this, so I'm going to come to the data reader demo data access layer, And I'm going to right click on it, hit rename. Now I'm going to change it to example. And I also will do that for our data reader UI. Get a rename there. Okay, now everything looks good here, but we need to watch out for some things. For example, one of the things that could take place here is that you'll see that I have a data reader example DAL correctly being renamed in my reference area. And that is one of the things I want to make certain takes place so that the references that point to the other folder are also have been changed correctly. And then the other things I want to do are go to the project itself for the data access layer. I'm going to double click on it. And I want to make certain that I change things here. Here's our assembly name. We could leave it as is, but I'm going to change it as well. Example.dal. Also the root namespace I'll change as well. .dal. So I've got the assembly name and root namespace changed. Also, I'm going to go to the assembly information and change that. We'll call it example here. And I think I'll just grab this real quick, copy, and paste it down here. There we go, and say OK to that. And I'll also say save to this. So we have all that changed, and we've got now everything related to the data access layer changed. Let's do that also for the data reader example user interface project. Come over there and change that. We'll change it over here. And I'm also going to go into the assembly name. Here I'm going to make it a little bit different. I'm going to actually put spaces in here. Not use the UI at all, because this is what the user will see when they look at the project. So I've had that all set. I'll say OK. We got that set, and I'm going to save all. I'm going to close this out, close this one out. Let's come back to our form itself, take a look at it, and I'm also going to right click and go to view code, and I want to check on the imports area, and you'll see we got a problem here. The imports area has not renamed, and this is the problem with namespaces throughout the project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight datareaderdemo.dal, hit a Control C, and then I'm going to hit Control H for replace on that. So I've got that in there, and I'm going to change this to example for the replacement. Now I'm going to do it for the entire solution to make certain all references from my import statements have been updated throughout, and any other references in the solution. So I'm going to hit that. It'll give me a warning because once I do this, it's pretty much a commit. And I'm going to feel I'm okay with it, so I'm going to say yes. And only that one, in this case, changed. So we had everything set, and we have our import statement correct. All references now should be okay. Let's do a quick start of the project. See if it still works. It came up. See if we can access the database. I'll put in E for a search. And there's our data coming in through our data reader inquiry. So that's how we did it. Let's go back and review what we have done thus far. Is we've done a lot of renaming. We renamed our solution on the outside. Then we came away and deleted these projects out of our solution, pulled them back in under their new folder locations. Then we renamed the information in the projects themselves and changed those. Now, one other thing that you might want to note is that we might have a lot of extra garbage left over from our last project that we want to get rid of. So let's go to the data access layer. I'm going to click on Show All Files, and you'll see I have a bin and object folder that show up. And in the debug area, you'll see that I have the data reader example in here fine because I had not compiled it. But I might have other objects in here that were not right. And so I can actually take everything out of the debug folder, highlight it, and hit the delete key and get rid of it. I can also go into the object folder and get rid of everything there, including that temp PE. I'm going to show you that you can get rid of those safely. And I'm going to go also into the UI area, hit Show All Folders, come in to the debug. And here we can see I have both the demo and the example, which I don't want the demo anymore. But I'm just going to click on all of them and delete them out of there. Not the folder itself, just the files within the folder. And then I'm going to go to the object area to debug. Once again, I've got the demo and example in there. And I'm just going to take this folder and the files in here, hit delete. Now, when I hit a debug, everything will rebuild. Only the objects related to this will show up. So if I go back in here, hit the refresh, you'll see that everything is only example. If I come down to the, or I should say come up to the data example area and look at its ones and refresh it, this will only have just the ones related to it. So we can get rid of all those other old files that were part of the last project under its old name as well safely and clean up our whole project and solution. So now I have a nice clean starting point for a new project to begin on that. And that should make us a pretty happy camper to get started with our new project we're going to call the data reader example. In fact, I see an error here. I didn't get a capital on that, so I'm going to do a rename again and make certain I get a capital E there. There we go. Do a quick rebuild just to make sure everything's good. Do a save all, and we're good to go. Let's take a look now back at our folder area, and I'm going to come back up. You'll see our folders were renamed manually by us, and then inside, everything is now correctly named, and we have everything cleaned up, including inside the bin folder. We have just those files related to it. In fact, I can click right here on this particular one and run the project. So there you go. That's the way I do it. There are others who have different ways of doing it, but I like to try to keep things simple as possible. So get in there and try out learning how to clone a project and renaming it, test it out and make sure it works okay, clean up some of the garbage. And you saw me go into the project where we had the old files sitting in the area. After we compiled it, we can blow those away and recompile, and they'll regenerate back in. Now be careful not to delete other objects that are needed for the project. But within the debug bin folder and the release folder, we can safely knock those files out and they'll rebuild successfully when we redo the project. That'll clean up any leftover old programs out there under different names and create a brand new program for our new project we're working on. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Take care, keep working, and get your hands dirty in the code, and be a better programmer. Take care.